Hello, movie fans, and welcome to Real Movie Talk. This is the show where we talk everything films in the industry that surrounds them. I'm your host, Dec, and with me, as always, is Ben.
Welcome to the podcast, to the special episode.
Special episode of the podcast. This is also the first podcast of 2019, so Happy New Year to all of you watching. We had a great back half of the year 2018, and we're looking forward to continuing that going forward. And in this special episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through each month of 2019, taking a look forward at the year of film, and both me and Ben have both chosen a film each from each month to discuss about the one that we are most looking forward to in that particular month. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much everything that needs to be explained. So I'm going to let you start off. So what is your pick? What are you most excited about in January?
Okay, so in terms of like the way that I like listed these, some of them have US release dates, but some of them are UK. Some of them I know the US, but I don't know the UK. So maybe that's in the wrong place. But for now,
Yeah. I mean,
that's all I know.
My January and February are both out in the US, so yeah.
Exactly. So for now, it's either or. You know, it could be UK or US release date. So keep that in mind. So my January pick is. I have a first off. I haven't mentioned like my second sort of most excited. I'm seeing this in a few weeks. That's Glass. I can't wait. But my number one is Serenity. So Serenity. Maybe some of you guys haven't heard of it. It's not like obviously a massive film. It's an independent film directed by Stephen Knight and stars Anne Hathaway and Matthew McConaughey. And Serenity. Since I actually visited the film set in Mauritius, like not last summer, but the summer before, and man, this film looks so interesting. I what was going on, but I have no idea. It's just so sort of convoluted, and I think it's going to be a sort of very good, in-depth study to these characters. And so Stephen Knight, the director, does Peaky Blinders, does Taboo. He's mainly a screenwriter, and he's directed a few films, but he helped on one of Robert Zemeckis' new films, and you know he's massive in that industry, in that side to filmmaking. So Serenity, I think everyone should be excited for this because I know some people have seen it and they loved it, and it's getting a very good response right now, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, I've seen you talk about this. Obviously, the fact you visited the set and stuff, which is cool, and that'll give you a little insight, which is nice. My January pick has already come out in the US. Also, I would like to shout out Glass as well. Very excited about Glass. I'm seeing that in a couple of weeks. But my January pick has to be Vice. This is the new film from Adam McKay, director of The Big Short, starring Christian Bale as Dick Cheney, the most infamous vice president in the history of the United States. This film is just like my cup of tea. Like this is my sort of thing. I'm like in my element with this film. I just love a true biopic, especially with like a political edge to it. I get very invested in those kind of stories. So with this, I'm completely in my element. I love this. Christian Bale once again transforming his body. I'm worried for his health, but he is delivering some fantastic performances for us here. He's packed on a whole load of weight for this role, and he looks fantastic. And obviously the prosthetics and everything do help towards that. This has also just got a stellar supporting cast as well. Amy Adams, who's getting a lot of Oscar buzz, she's great in this. Well, she looks great in this. Also Steve Carell, who is just making a plethora of incredible career choices as of late. Can't wait to see him here. Sam Rockwell, who is pretty much an awards darling at this point after 3 Billboards. He is playing George W. Bush, which also looks to be a great role for him. Like I say, this movie just looks perfect for me, and it's honestly one of my favorite trailers in recent memories, the trailer for Vice. Every time I see that trailer come up, I just have a massive smile on my face. I just love it. I think the dialogue in this is going to be great. It's going to be sharp. It's going to be witty. It's going to be funny. And that especially is something I would expect coming from Adam McKay. So yeah, Vice is definitely one of my most anticipated of the year. Like on my top 10, it was my number 10. I'm really hyped about Vice.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. The thing is with me and Vice, I haven't seen it yet, but I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. I love the actors. Christian Bale's one of my favorite actors, so that's why I'm rooting for the film. But not me, but also didn't at the same time. I'm sort of like, huh. We'll see when I see it.
I've seen some people complain about it, like saying how it's like painting Dick Cheney as like a cool person.
I don't care about that, but
No, I don't care about that.
because
And
it's
I
a
don't
film.
necessarily
But
agree with that, but I think it's real. I just really like that trailer.
yeah, the reason why I'm a bit sort of just like, I don't know. I basically don't know what to expect. That's all. I just don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that could be a good or a bad thing. You just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So, what is your most anticipated for February?
So my most anticipated for February, I don't think there's that many like big films coming out in February or like films of note. So definitely, I would definitely say my February pick is Happy Death Day to You. And the main reason I loved the original trailers for Happy Death Day, the first one a year back or something. But I missed the film somehow. I have no idea how. But I've been meaning to rewatch it. But I love this trailer for Happy Death Day to You. I've watched it like 20 times. It's one of my favorite trailers recently. And it just looks like so much fun. And also I love horror, I love comedy, and I think this is going to be one for me. And so shortly followed by Lego Movie 2. I loved the Lego Movie, especially Lego Batman, so looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good choice. So, have you not seen the original yet?
No, not yet.
You'd need to get on that. The original is really fun. Like, it's one of those films that kind of came along. Everyone thought it was going to be, typical Blumhouse kind of thing. Blumhouse make like 10 films a year. They throw them all at the wall and hope one sticks. But, like, I genuinely thought Happy Death Day was really fun. It was just one of those movies that just kind of came across. And, it's not particularly outstanding or anything. It's not a revolution in the horror genre, but it's just a fun movie. And I think it took a lot of us by surprise. Yeah, I'm very excited about Happy Death Day to You as well. My choice, though, and I know you've seen this already, but mine is If Beale Street Could Talk. This movie just looks phenomenal, looks outstanding. Obviously, just going by director name alone, Barry Jenkins, the director of Moonlight, another film I absolutely adore. Beale Street just looks to be an incredibly real film with a lot of real characters and things like that. And I really like the story. The cast is fantastic. Like Stephen James, who's like a real rising star at the moment. Regina King, of course. I just think there's so much riding on this film, and that gets me very, very excited. So for me, Beale Street's just one of them films that I just need to get my hands on and just need to see. But I still have to wait till February, unfortunately. But for me, February is definitely Beale Street.
Yeah, great choice. I've seen it already. Love the film. Highly recommend it. Definitely one to look out for. Great choice. Let's do it. March for me, I think there's quite a few good ones in March to look out for. Obviously, we've got all that everyone's excited for. I'm actually really excited for it as well. We've got the new sort of sci-fi film Captive State. We've got Dumbo and everything. Looking forward to all of those. But the one that I'm looking forward to the most, followed by a film called Greta, which I love the trailer for. My most anticipated of March is Us. So Jordan Peele's new film. We saw that trailer. I've watched that trailer like at least like 10 times now.
It's a great trailer. That was a great little Christmas present from Jordan Peele.
A great trailer. I love the concept, and obviously everyone sort of is very hyped after Get Out. This just seems so promising, and I really can't wait to see Us.
Yeah, it was one of those films, like the trailer kind of came out and it surprised a lot of us because I think, it comes across a lot more conventional than Get Out was, but I think that's still a good thing. I think this is, Jordan Peele's take on that, and I've watched that trailer so many times. It's so creepy and so eerie. I love it. That's my second most anticipated. But for my most anticipated, this is where the utter superhero fanboy inside of me comes out. I have to go Captain Marvel. Although I have obviously not been too positive on the trailers for Captain Marvel. I don't think the trailers have been outstanding. Like, they haven't grabbed me at all. I'm still excited just by the fact it's the next MCU film, and the MCU is one of my favorite franchises, so I always have to get excited for a new Marvel movie, and I'm sure, even if the trailers aren't that great, I'm still sure the film will be pretty good. Pretty good at least, because that's pretty much their standard. So yeah, Captain Marvel, I think, I'm still a bit iffy when it comes to the casting of Brie Larson. She's a great actress. I just don't know if she's the perfect fit for Carol Danvers just yet. I will withhold my judgment to the movie, but I've always had trouble with Brie Larson ever since she was cast. So again, I'm just going to have to wait and see with that one. But the fact it's set in the 90s, it's a prequel, they're introducing the Skrulls, the Kree, the potential lead into Avengers Endgame. Obviously, Captain Marvel's going to play a big role in that film as well. So the potential tie-ins here is very exciting. We're seeing young Nick Fury. They're bringing back Coulson in this one. They're even bringing back Ronan from Guardians. Like it's bringing in all these different elements from across the MCU, and that is what excites me most about it. And also visually, this movie looks stunning. Like I will say in the trailer, that shot where she's just flying up into space and just shooting everything, that was like amazing. But yeah, Captain Marvel, although I've not been the most positive towards it, I'm still extremely excited about it just because it's the MCU, and I'm sure it'll deliver a great film.
Yeah, good choice. The thing is with me for Captain Marvel, I think the first trailer was good, but then the trailers after, I'm sort of opposite with everyone. I think the trailers after have sort of lacked a bit. I really like that first one. But I don't have a problem with the casting. I think the casting is personally, I think it's a good casting with Brie Larson. I love her. I think she's so good. And I think she fits the role, in my opinion. So from what I can see. Okay, so April. So this month is packed. So I had to sort of, looking through April, I was like, oh my God, I know this one. I want to see, Pet Cemetery. I want to see all these different ones under the Silver Lake. Okay, so most people are expecting me to say one film, but I'm not going to say that film. So my sort of honorable mentions for April is and Shazam. I am so excited for both. Loves Infinity War. Shazam. Why I'm really excited for Shazam is I love the character in the comic books. I love him in all the different shows and different animated things. He's one of my favorites, but I really like the trailer, but I'm a little bit worried with some of the humor, with especially when they're doing the sort of meme humor, So I'm a little bit trepidatious about it, but I'm looking forward to it. But my April pick is The Curse of La Llorona.
Oh,
I am incredibly excited about The Curse of La Llorona. So this is the new film. James Wan is producing the horror film. The trailer came out in early October, and oh my God, I couldn't watch it. I literally... But I do have trouble watching trailers, especially the way they're cut. And this trailer creeped the shit out of me. I thought it was really well done. I think the visuals look great, and I'm just such a big supporter of James Wan's horror work because I think he does such a great job. And also what New Line do, I'm really, really a big fan of it. And the director of this film, Michael Chaves, it's his first debut, like, massive feature film. In his short film, The Maiden, I watched that, and that shit is fucking great. Like, it is a really well done horror film. And so that's part of the reason. But also the trailer, the idea, like this actual like legendary sort of ghost that sort of preys on these children. Oh my God. I'm really excited.
Heard of this film.
You didn't see the trailer?
No, I've never heard of this.
It was massive. It got millions of views. Everyone was talking about it.
It might just slip past me. I don't know. I've never even heard of this. Unless maybe
6 million views.
You'll have to send me the link. But that's definitely an interesting choice because I think we were all expecting you to go for something else. But it's quite good that you didn't because I'm just gonna go for that. No build up whatsoever. It's Endgame. Yeah, this is my most anticipated film of the year, so I can't really choose anything else. Just this being the culmination of everything the MCU has been building towards for 11 years now. 24 films or 23 films by the time we get to this. Like, this was just, it's such a big event. Like, this is such a massive, like, nothing like this has happened in cinema before. Like, it's such an unprecedented thing. And the fact this is going to close off the chapter of the MCU as we know it, it's also going to open the next chapter going forward. I just think that this film just has so much going into it, and I'm trying to not get too excited about it because I feel like it could potentially be a bit of a letdown, because I honestly believe in terms of scale, this film will not be as big as Infinity War. I just feel like obviously they don't have the amount of characters they had in Infinity War, and I feel like it's going to be a lot more, instead of big battles, they're obviously going to be going, it seems like they could be going back in time in this one. Time travel is going to be involved. So I'm trying to withhold my judgment. I'm trying to, withhold my hope a little bit, but I can't help myself. Again, as I mentioned earlier, huge MCU fan, and this is like the biggest movie of the MCU so far. So yeah, it has to be Endgame for me, and it's my most anticipated of the year as well. So
And uh, yeah, I'm super excited for the Avengers. Very shortly behind, but I don't know. Super excited for the Curse of La Llorona. We have lots of different films. My honorable mention, I was sort of struggling between some of these films because, like the trailer for Brightburn, I really like Detective Pikachu, but
yeah, yeah.
I can't put them at the front because I'm a little bit scared. I don't know. So my honorable mention is Godzilla. I think the second trailer was very good because I really like Kong Skull Island. Um, okay, so my main pick is Aladdin. Obviously I'm biased on that because I was on the Aladdin set, but I think that's shaping up. It's had incredibly positive test screenings. Naomi Scott, I'm gonna say this here, she kills it as Princess Jasmine. We got Mina Masood as Aladdin and Will Smith as Genie. This is going to be very reminiscent of the old one, but it's going to be Guy Ritchie's own thing. But it's still in the style of that original film, and I've loved everything I've seen so far. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about Aladdin. I've been very positive on it so far. I liked, even though the Entertainment Weekly stuff got a lot of criticism, I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm excited about this. I'm slightly concerned about Guy Ritchie, but I'll wait until I see actual footage. My May pick I'm gonna give to John Wick Chapter 3. John Wick is just such a great franchise that came out of absolutely nowhere and just took the world by storm. And for this supposed final closing chapter for this trilogy, I just think it's going to be awesome. Like, they have the whole world of assassins going up against John Wick now. They're going to new locations. The world building and all the stuff they established in the second film is really going to come into play. He's getting a new partner in this one, played by Halle Berry, who I'm also a big fan of. So I just think this film is just going to have a lot going for it. It's hard to talk about it because there's not too much, we've seen of it yet. But, John Wick 1 is fantastic. John Wick 2 is just as good. So, by that track record, this will be at least as good as the first two, and that's all I really need.
Yeah, good pick. I haven't seen any of the John Wick, so I can't sort of comment, but I know loads of people love it, so good choice. Okay, so moving on, June. So June's, again, one of those months that is... We've got films like Dark Phoenix, we got Shaft, Men in Black, all these different films. So my honorable mention, like my second pick, would be Toy Story 4. And I really struggle between my number 1 and 2. So I love Toy Story. It's entirely nostalgic. Scared that it's not going to be as good as the 3. So that's why it's not my number 1. But my number 1 pick is, in fact, the horror film that no one's really talked about that much. It's called The Grudge, and it's a remake of 2000s. Haven't seen that film, but I'm very excited. It's produced by Sam Raimi and Nicholas Pesce. I can't really say his name properly, but he's done some very good horror films, and I'm really confident about this one. And it stars Lin Shaye, John Cho, who we saw in Searching. I love him in that.
Love John Cho.
And Angela Riseborough. Sorry, how do you say her name? Angela Riseborough. That's it. I love her. She was in Mandy, which I was sort of like split on, but she was in Birdman. She was amazing in The Death of Stalin. In Brighton Rock, she's in Brighton Rock, and so I'm a big fan of her. And this story, and there's been a first look that was released, and I just think it looks so intriguing. And for all that I've heard, this is probably going to be one of the scariest and probably one of the best made horror films this year. So looking forward to it. Very hopeful. Toy Story right behind it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good choice. I'm going to have to go with your secondary choice, though. I am going Toy Story 4. I am extremely worried about it at the same time because obviously it is a fourth film that's coming out 8-9 years after Toy Story 3, which I felt Toy Story 3 was the perfect ending to the trilogy. But my faith is in Pixar. They never let me down, really. So I have all the faith in the world for them. Also, kind of like what they did with The Incredibles 2. I feel like, they've waited this long to do it because they must have an idea. Like, they must have a good story they want to tell. Otherwise, they would have done this, 5 years or whatever after 3. So I think this is great. I'm interested to see what they're going to do. Obviously, we know that Key and Peele are in the cast now, which I think is just a brilliant idea. Keanu Reeves is also joining the cast, which, again, another fantastic little choice there. Introducing new characters is always a good thing for this franchise. The story is the most thing I am interested in, because I remember originally when they started talking about this film and this project, they were talking about how they were going to reintroduce Bo Peep into the franchise. I don't know if that's still a thing or if they're moving away from that, because based on the trailers and the teasers, it seems like that may not be a thing. But again, they haven't really shown us too much of what the actual story is yet. So, Toy Story 4, I can't not get hyped for this movie just because it's Toy Story coming back to the big screen. I just hope that they have come up with a good enough story to justify its existence, basically.
A good choice. All right, so moving on. My July pick, my honorable mention is The Lion King. I'm incredibly excited. The Lion King is one of my favorite films of all time. Watched it so many times as a kid, and the trailer was amazing. I loved that trailer so much. But my number one pick, which is my number one film of 2019, I'm looking forward to, is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed by Quentin Tarantino, starring Brad Pitt, starring, you can think of Al Pacino, Leonardo DiCaprio, Margot Robbie, like you name it, Tarantino's got it. Tarantino's my favorite director, so obviously this is very exciting. I think the premise is extremely intriguing. I'm wondering what he's going to do, how he's going to take this failing actor and his stunt double or his stuntman, and they're going to go on a journey around Hollywood. And I love the title as well, like a homage to Once Upon a Time Once Upon a Time and classic westerns, and I just can't wait to see what he does with this. It's my July pick.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that as well. That's my number 2 for the month. I think, it's Tarantino. What more do you need to say? And also, yeah, the ensemble he's managed to garner here is just on another level. And just the idea of them actually making a film about the making of films is something really interesting, and the fact that that's coming from Tarantino really excites me. They're bringing in the Manson murders somewhere as well. That's going to be interesting. So yeah, that's got to be a good choice. But once again, for July, my inner fanboyism's coming out here. Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Homecoming is my favorite MCU film, so for me the sequel is inevitable. The fact that what excites me most about this is the fact they're bringing in Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, which is just, Jake Gyllenhaal is an incredible actor. I genuinely believe he's one of the best actors working today. So the fact that he's now in the MCU as the villain is incredible. I think that is a masterful bit of casting. And especially for a character like Mysterio, who, for the most part, is kind of a silly villain. I think they're really going to be able to ground him and make him believable for the MCU, like they did with the Vulture in the first one with Michael Keaton. I think they're just going to be able to do this so well. The globe-trotting idea is going to be fun. Like, we're moving away from New York for this one. We're going into Europe. I think that's a cool setting. I was actually in London around the time of them filming in the UK, which was just incredible to be there. So yeah, like I say, just purely based on the fact that Homecoming is my favorite MCU film, I'm just so hyped for Far From Home. And just bring me more Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, the reason why I'm excited but kind of not at the same time, the one reason why I'm exciting is because Jake Gyllenhaal, he's a great actor. I saw him in The Sisters Brothers recently. He's incredible in that. But the reason why I'm kind of, having doubts, I liked Homecoming. I thought it was amazing when I first watched it. Second time I watched it, I fell asleep. I don't know why. I just don't think it's very rewatchable. I liked it a lot, though. But I've heard some stuff that is kind of behind the scenes that's kind of getting me sort of a bit worried. But, I can just put that out the window for now. But
I'm just looking at all these elements, and it just gets me so excited. Like the fact they've got John Watts back to direct, who I thought was a fantastic choice. It really felt like a 90s really good teenage film in that way. The black suit is being introduced, not the actual black suit, but the black and red suit they're using, I think was fantastic. They're developing the relationship more with Zendaya's character, who I thought was a really great twist. Because the reason why I love Homecoming so much, and the reason why it was one of the biggest surprises of the MCU for me, is because I wasn't looking forward to it at all. I was like, I don't care about another Spider-Man movie. I don't need it. I mean, I liked him in Civil War, but I don't really need this, because, after the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, I was kind of like, we've seen everything we can see. What I liked about Homecoming was everything was fresh, everything was new. Like, all the side characters were new. Like, we had a completely different take on Flash Thompson. We had Ned, in the movie. We had Zendaya, who was kind of MJ, but kind of not, which I appreciated. Vulture was a villain we'd never seen before, and it looks like they're going to continue doing that. That's why I liked Homecoming so much, and I think that's why I'm so excited about Far From Home as well.
There's a lot to get excited for about that. But okay, so moving on, my August pick is honorable mention. I have two films I'm super excited for right here, and so I would pick for August. My honorable mention is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is produced and written by Guillermo del Toro. That's just like excited for that. And we have my number one pick is Midsummer. This is directed by Ari Aster, who directed Hereditary, his second debut feature. If you've seen his short films, they're all incredible. Probably some of the best short films I've ever seen. This is made by A24. They have an incredible track record. And just considering Hereditary is one of my favorite films this year, I think it's one of the best films. I just can't be excited enough about Midsummer. This is one of my most anticipated films. I think Ari is like the next sort of rising one of these directors who are just coming in, like a lot through horror and things like that. This guy can direct the hell out of a film. He can make a great horror film, and I'm super looking forward to this Midsummer film in August.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are very, very excited about that. I haven't seen Hereditary because I haven't. It's not. I don't think it's my sort of thing at all. But I understand that a lot of people obviously really love that film. I've seen it at the top of a lot of people's 2018 lists. My pick for August, I'm probably going to get some controversy for this one, but for my like most anticipated lists, I'm not exactly necessarily looking at like the films that are going to be the absolute best. It's for me, these are just the films I'm looking forward to seeing and just having fun with. August, I'm going Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. I love Fast and Furious. It's one of my guilty pleasure franchises. I just love watching them. I think they're just utter fun. And they always please. Like, I watched Fast and Furious 8 3 times in the cinema in 2017. I just really enjoy these films, and the best part about Fast and Furious 8 was Hobbs and Shaw. So the fact we're now getting a spin-off for those two is great. The Rock, obviously one of the most charismatic actors we have, and Jason Statham, who is really becoming like this really great comedic style action star, kind of like in the line of like Chris Hemsworth, someone like that, or even The Rock himself, I think is really good. So pairing them together is going to be a great choice, because their prison scene in Fast and Furious 8 is just hilarious. Also, we have Idris Elba playing the villain. That's awesome. Eiza Gonzalez from Baby Driver's in the film. Also, Vanessa Kirby from Mission Impossible Fallout is in this. I just think this is going to be awesome. My only sort of concern with it is that, given the fact that this is more of a spin-off from Fast and Furious, not part of the main line, is that I wonder how big of a role the actual cars and racing is going to play in it. I assume not a lot. So I'm going to see how that's going to play out. But still, just having a whole film with the dynamic between The Rock and Jason Statham, I think is going to be a lot of fun for audiences. So I'm really looking forward to that film.
Yeah, the thing is, I love Fast and Furious. I enjoy those films so much. I really love, I think it's Fast 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Wait, not 4 maybe. I think it was 5, 6, and 7 that I love. I didn't really like 8 all too much.
8's not my favourite. I just happened to watch it 3 times. Because I had like different people inviting me to different times.
And I have to say, Hobbs and Shaw don't interest me. I know you love them, lots of people do, but I'm more interested in like Dominic and all these other characters. Like, I don't really need a spin-off. I guess it's just I don't think I need this film. I would prefer just to have a new Fast and Furious, like the next step in the franchise, like Fast and Furious 9.
That is coming in 2020, or yeah, I think it's 2020, and Justin Lin's coming back to direct that one.
Right, so that's exciting for me. But what excites me, like, there's little bits that excites me. David Leitch really liked some of his films that he's done. He did Deadpool 2 and he did Atomic Blonde. So I love Deadpool 2 and Idris Elba. That excites me as well. Others as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of like, don't really need it.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. I've seen a lot of people have that kind of reaction. They're just kind of lukewarm to it. But I just, again, I'm just purely going off of that prison scene. I thought it was so funny. I could have done with a lot more of that.
Okay, so moving on to September. So this really had no competition at all for me.
I think we might have the same choice on this one.
Like the one thing, the one film in September that I was like, yeah, nothing's coming close to this. And this is It Chapter 2. I loved the original It film, like when it came out, like I think it was last year, 2017. Right, I love horror films. It's my favorite genre, right? But I get scared the shit out of me every time, no doubt about that. But when I get a great horror film that gets under my skin, and in this case it was more creepy, it was sort of just like, oh, just go away, you know? I don't know. It created a real reaction to me and these types of films, and I think it was such a great film, one of my favorites of 2017. And this cast that they're getting together for this film is just incredible. Sorry, it has all the people from the other films, so all the kids, which I loved, Angie, and then the Muschiettis are coming back to direct and write, which is amazing. Then we got Jessica Chastain. I love her. I think she's one of the best. I think she's one of the best actresses. You know, Crimson Peak. She's in Molly's Game recently. I love her. I think she's so good. We got Bill Hader. He's really funny. I'm looking forward to him. James McAvoy, Bill Skarsgård returning, and the kids. That's what excites me quite a lot. So yeah, what's your pick?
I've also gone It Chapter 2. I'm so excited about this. I love the first It. Like, on the contrary to you, I'm not a big horror fan. Like, I like horror films, you know, depending on what it is. Just because, you know, quite frankly, I do get a little bit freaked out and scared by things. But I love the first It. More because, and this is going to sound completely odd and completely weird, but I found the first It absolutely hysterical. I thought it was so funny. And that's because, if you remember a couple of years ago, and you'll remember this in the UK, this also happened in the US as well, and it happened here in the UK. Do you remember a couple of years ago, there was that clown craze where people were dressing up as clowns in public and like scaring people? I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was so funny. It was like one of my favourite trends of that year. I thought it was just hilarious. So, you know, I was watching this film in the vein of that, and I was just like, so seeing this like killer clown going around scaring and killing people, I thought it was hilarious. So with that, I really enjoyed the first It. And yeah, with Chapter 2, them doing the adults now, again, that cast, obviously Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Hader, and all these newcomers who they're bringing in. And I just can't wait to see Pennywise again. I just cannot wait to see Pennywise again. Just for me, again, I find these movies really funny. And I know that's a weird reaction. I know that's the wrong reaction, but that's the way I have it, and that's the way I enjoy these movies the most.
Yeah, I was just like, with the It trailer when it came out, it actually took me probably about 10 times to actually get through it. I couldn't get through the trailer.
I love that trailer.
And
I watched it so many times.
Watch it after I'd seen the film. Like, oh my god. I don't know. I loved it. Okay, so moving on, October. What I've got honorable mention is The Woman in the Window. This is directed by Joe Wright. We got Gary Oldman and everyone. So the team from Darkest Hour. We got some new people. You know, it's just really intriguing. But my number one pick unanimously is Joker. Like, why wouldn't I do this? It's one of my most exciting films coming up. And Joaquin Phoenix, I watched You Were Never Really Here Again yesterday. I went to the cinema. It was on for a special one. I was like, yes, I need to go. What an actor. Like, seriously, probably he's up there with Ryan Gosling for me as my favorite actors in present day. This guy can act the shit out of anything. I'm only hearing good things from Joker. We got Todd Phillips, obviously known for his comedy, but I feel like he can bring something else. We got Robert frickin' De Niro in this. everything that is shaping up, everything I hear, all this footage, seeing him, I'm just so excited for this.
Yeah, I've also gone Joker. This is for me, like, even though I'm so excited about Endgame, out of all the comic book movies coming out next year, like, this is easily the one I'm most interested in because it's just something different. Like, as a comic book fan, I get really excited when something comes along that's just a little bit different, a little bit fresh. Hence the reason why I really liked Spider-Verse. I think October for bringing us Joker, that is something so different. I'm just so excited to see what the story is, like how they're gonna play it. Obviously, it's set in the 80s, sort of like a struggling, failing stand-up comedian. I think that's a fantastic setup going forward. Bring in, like you say, the cast, like Robert De Niro, like, come on, like, that's incredible, and just so much else. Todd Phillips, I really like him. Even though, like you say, he's known for his humor, I think that's obviously something you can really bring to the Joker. I think we're going to be able to see some really dark humor coming with this film, and also he directed War Dogs, which I think is one of the most underrated films in recent years, to be honest. So yeah, Joker, it's just going to be incredible. All the set videos just get me riled up. And again, I love the look. I love the makeup design they've done for Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Just such a great idea. Even though this is completely separate, I just don't care in terms of like continuity. I don't care what they do. I'm just so happy they're doing this. Like, I think this is a great idea because some people are worried that obviously the fact they've given the Joker a name and they're going to give him like a proper origin and things like that. I don't really care about that. I think, this is somebody has an idea, they have a vision, and they're putting it together, and I think that's great. And like I say, I don't care about any of that stuff. Just give me a great story and something completely different and original, and I'll take it. And yeah, Joker's one of my most hyped of the year, for sure.
Great choice. November, same thing as September. No doubt in my mind, Knives Out. Since they announced that they just finished shooting recently. Wow, this project just seems to be like if you look at that cast, like, just look at it for a minute and be like, how can this film not be great? And it's directed by Rian Johnson. Loved The Last Jedi, one of my favorite films in years. One of my favorite Star Wars films as well. And he did Looper, he did Brick. I love Brick so much. And we got Chris Evans, Daniel Craig, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon. Like, it goes on. Like, the list just continues on and on and on. And the premise is really intriguing. Also, I have to mention Toni Collette's in it. Like, oh my god, she is one of the best things about this year. Hereditary. So this film, like a sort of murder mystery type thing, these people, but also with Rian Johnson, I think this is one to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this movie for a very long time in terms of all the casting. Like, I was tempted to go with Knives Out, but in the end I didn't. I don't really do honorable mentions, but I will chuck this one in. This isn't my top pick just because we haven't seen anything from it, and I'm not even sure if this movie, like, it's on the schedule, but I'm not sure if this is actually happening, and that's Kingsman 3. I love Kingsman. Kingsman: The Secret Service is one of my favorite films of all time. So I'm obviously excited about Kingsman 3. We've seen nothing from it, and I don't know what's going on with this film. Like, I don't know what's going on with this, the prequel. I don't know what's happening. So if this movie is coming out in November, then yes, I'm very excited. But if it's not, then I'm just excited for it whenever the hell it's coming out. I've gone for an interesting choice. I'm not necessarily hyped for this movie, but I am very interested to see where it goes, and that's the untitled Terminator film, Terminator 6. I'm very interested in this. Obviously, Terminator has had a bit of a rough run of it over the past few years with Genesis, Salvation, even Rise of the Machines to some extent. But what I like about this is that they are doing the Halloween treatment with this. They're just ignoring everything past Judgment Day, which I think is definitely a good decision. Arnie is coming back for this one, which I don't know if is entirely necessary, but we'll see how that goes. Linda Hamilton is coming back as bloody Sarah Connor. That's just a great thing in its own right. And what I love about this as well is that they've cast Gabriel Luna, who was Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's actually the Terminator for this one. They've also got Mackenzie Davis, who is incredible in Tully last year. That was a great film. And also in Blade Runner as well. And I really just love Tim Miller. He's directing this. Obviously the director of the first Deadpool. Very excited to see what he can bring to the table with this. And just the Mexican setting for this, I think, is really interesting and really unique. And that's what really excites me as well. Just a different direction, a different kind of take on it. And the fact that they're just ignoring everything past Judgment Day and just carrying on from there, I think is a great decision. So I can't wait. I'm actually just really interested in this film, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
I'm really don't have any interest in this film. I
A lot of people don't.
literally, I've never watched Terminator. I haven't seen any of them.
Terminator's awesome.
I don't really have any interest in watching it. I don't know why, but yeah, so it's not for me. Maybe December, so the last month of 2019. I'm so excited for Greta Gerwig's new film, Little Women. I think Lady Bird, favorite film, along with um, Blade Runner last year. It was just like, and I'm really rooting for this one. I haven't seen anything to do with Little Women. I haven't read anything. I haven't seen any of the adaptations. But Greta Gerwig excites me. But also, what excites me so much is the cast. You've got one of my favorite actresses all time. Obviously, you know I'm a massive Harry Potter fan, but I love her in Beauty and the Beast and lots of other projects. So she's one of my favorites. Timothy Chalamet, obviously, Call Me by Your Name, Lady Bird. Boy, this year, you know, this guy is like one of the best up and coming actors. Saoirse Ronan, probably my favorite actress last year with Lady Bird. I love her. I think she's so great. Looking forward to Mary Queen of Scots, Florence Pugh, Meryl Streep. Like, oh my god, this thing. Standards of like the people that are in this, the director and the cast. This excites me so much. But my number one pick, easily, Star Wars Episode 9. Don't have a title right now, but Star Wars, along with Harry Potter and like films of all time, it's up there. And I've watched Star Wars so many times. I don't give two shits about some of the people that are like, oh, fucking hate The Last Jedi or Solo. I love them. I think The Last Jedi is so good. Really enjoyed Solo. I love anything Star Wars as long as you give it to me every Christmas. I like that wait. So I thought Solo should be moved up. But anyway, Abrams back. Star Wars is just the best thing on earth, so super excited for that.
Yeah, I have to completely 100% agree. My December pick is also Star Wars Episode 9. Star Wars is my favorite film of all time. Like the Empire Strikes Back is my favorite film of all time, and just I just say Star Wars as a whole is my favorite film of all time. I just love all of them, even though there are a couple of duds here and there for me, like, you know, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. I didn't love Solo, but I really I have loved this sequel trilogy so far. Like, I love Force Awakens. I think Last Jedi is one of the best Star Wars films ever. So to say Episode 9 is something I'm not excited for would be a complete and utter, you know, disaster, because I think Episode 9 is just going to be so cool. I can't wait to see what they call it, like how they're going to officially end this trilogy. The story, because we know they're doing, I think they said a 1 year time jump or something around that. So the fact they're doing a time jump, I think that's exciting. I always love it when like something brings in a time jump. I think that adds so much to explore. Like, that's one of the reasons The Walking Dead is so exciting right now, is because they've just done a 6 year time jump and we're still learning stuff, which is great. And I think they can apply that to Star Wars. How they're going to end this trilogy? Like, how are they going to end this with Rey's story? How she's linked to Kylo? Where that's going to go? Kylo Ren is one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever. Like, genuinely, he's transcended to that level. I think he's such a great character, and what they're going to do with him. There's just so much riding on this movie. It's also going to be interesting to see what they do with Carrie Fisher and how they handle that. Especially because, you know, originally they had massive plans for Leia, so I don't know how they're going to handle that. But I just think Episode 9, you know, even though there has been a lot of ruckus within the Star Wars fan base as of late, people obviously not happy about certain things, I think that Episode 9 is going to bring everyone back together, because I think everyone does unanimously agree that, you know, The Force Awakens is great, and obviously this bringing back J.J. Abrams is definitely not a bad thing. So I really feel like this is going to bring everyone back together. My only hope with Episode 9 now is that after it comes out, they just take a break from Star Wars films, just leave it for a while, because we're getting like loads of stuff on the Disney streaming service, like The Mandalorian, which looks fantastic, and the Cassian Andor series, which I think could be really cool. So as long as they give us a nice break after this, I'm happy with it. So Episode 9 is definitely, that's like after Endgame, that's my most anticipated of the year for sure.
Yeah, that's a great choice. But the thing is, I am not excited for The Mandalorian. I have no interest.
Oh,
I
really?
just want it to stay on film. I don't know. That's just me.
I
But
just think
I
with the
don't really
cast
have
and Jon Favreau behind it, and just the idea of them exploring the Mandalorians, like, because I don't know if, did you ever watch Clone Wars?
bits.
because they really delved into the Mandalorians in Clone Wars. That you really got some really cool hints with them, and they're a really cool like group of people. So I'm excited to see what they can do with that. And I think is it Pedro Pascal and Lee Roll? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's exciting. But also, just to end off this podcast, I've got some other films that don't have release dates that I wanted to mention. These are all in my top anticipated list of 2019, but they don't have release dates right now, so we'll have to wait and see. But we are supposed to be getting a Wicked film based on the Broadway show, and I love anything to do with the Wizard of Oz, so this Broadway show is like a smash hit, and it's directed by the same guy that directed Billy Elliot. I love that film. Hopefully it comes out this year. I don't know, I haven't heard too much recently, but really looking forward to that. And then also The Lighthouse, directed by Robert Eggers, who directed The Witch 2 years ago, I think it was. And that is one of my favorite horror films of all time, like, no lying. And so really looking forward to that. We got who is in that? Let me check. Willem Dafoe is in that film. Like, come on, he is one of the best actors running right now. And finally, The Irishman, Scorsese, starring an all-time classic cast. It doesn't have a release date right now, that's why I can't include it, but if there was a set release date, that would be on there. Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, Harvey Keitel, you name it. They're all back together. Joe Pesci's out of retirement, teaming up with Martin Scorsese. Cannot wait. This is my second most anticipated after Tarantino's new film.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing. That's obviously a Netflix movie. I think that's like the fact that Netflix has done it. You know, the way it's just grown and developed over the years to the fact where we can now get a Scorsese movie as a Netflix exclusive with like Al Pacino in it. It's just like an amazing thing to behold. But that does bring us to the close of this episode, and this is of course the first episode of the new year, so thank you guys for subscribing and listening throughout 2018, and make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss any more of our episodes going forward in 2019. We'll be going back to the normal format again next week, back to our regular reviews and things like that. I think reviews next week will be things like The Front Runner, probably something else as well. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, I've been Dec.
I've been Ben.
And we hope to see you guys again in the next episode.